For today's class, we're going to focus on the element of art called line. Each of these lines has a different name, and so we're going to practice these lines at our tables on our paper spots. So what I want you to do is go back to your spot, write your name at the very top of the page, put it the long way, kind of like I have it here, and we're going to leave space for about 8 different lines right here. So I want you to get one color of crayon. Once you have that color of crayon, I want you to hold it high in the sky just like this, so that shows me that you're ready to go. We'll pause the video until you're ready. Now that everyone is ready in the class, we're going to make a straight line right at the top. So try to leave some space. Use one of your crayons and make a straight line all the way across. A straight line, that's as best as I could do. It just goes from one side to the next. It doesn't curve, it just goes straight there. It's also called a thin line or a skinny line. That's our first line. Now that we're done with that one, I want you to get a new color of crayon and hold that high in the sky. That will show us that we're ready to go to the next step. Now that we have our second color of crayon, we're going to start with our second line. We have a straight line. Now we're going to do a thick line. A thick line is like a fat version of that skinny line. To do this, we're going to make one skinny line, then go over the top of it with a thicker skinny color. So what I like to do is just color right over the top of it and turn that thin line into a fat line, a thick line. Right now I have a thin line and a thick line. Please draw both of these now. When you're done, I want you to get a new color, so this is our third color, and hold your hand high in the sky. Shows me you're ready to go. Now that we're all ready, we're going to start with our next one. We're going to do a zigzag line. Let me show you a zigzag line first. A zigzag line has these tall peaks, almost like mountains. Zigzag, zigzag. And it's a little bit different from this bumpy line, which is more curved. We want to try and get these nice points like teeth, sharp teeth. So we'll start on our zigzag line. We'll go zigzag, 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 and try to make those big, tall peaks. Can you see them? That's a zigzag line. After you're done with your zigzag line, grab a new color and hold it high in the sky. That will show me you're ready to go. Now that we're ready for our next line, we're going to go with that bumpy line that I showed you before. Some people call it wavy, some people call it bumpy. I like to draw this bumpy line like this. Bump, bump, bump. And it shows those little hills on our paper. Draw a bumpy line now. When you're done with your bumpy line, I want you to get a new color and hold your crayon high in the sky so we're ready for the next line. Now that we've drawn our bumpy line, we're going to go with the loop-de-loop line. This is probably my favorite kind of line. It starts down low, goes up really high, loops back around, loop-de-loop, loop-de-loop, all the way across my page. I want to try that loop-de-loop line. It's okay that those lines are a little bit bendy. That's my loop-de-loop line. I'm going to go to the next color of crayon and hold that one up in the air so we're ready to go. Now that we're ready with our loop-de-loop line, we're going to do a dashed line. A dashed line has a bunch of spaces. It's like a straight line like this one, only it has spaces in the middle. So I go dash space, dash space, dash space, and that's our dashed line. It kind of reminds me of the lines in the middle of a road. Now that we're done with our dash line, let's get one more color of crayon. We still have lots of space for our other colors, but if you ran out of space, you can use these long lines on the side, or you can use another little part of your paper. Let's go with the dotted line next. Dotted line is like a straight line. All it is it's made out of dots. Sometimes it's hard for me to stay on that line, so what I could do is take a pencil, draw a regular line, then draw circles over the top of those lines. That's a dotted line. When you're done with your dotted line, we only have a couple more to go, so pick out one more crayon. It can be a color that you've already used before, and hold that one high in the sky. That will show me you're ready. The last couple lines that I like to do are kind of fun ones. I like to start with that straight line like I did before, just draw one straight line, and then I like to put different shapes on that line. Like I like to make hearts or triangles or circles. Maybe I can do all of those shapes right on that line. It helps me to practice my shapes, and it gives me a creative way to make a new line. That's a fancy line. You can also make a step line, which is kind of like this. These are like little squares, only we don't finish the whole bottom part of the square. The way that I do that is I start with a straight line, go up, over, down, over, up, over, kind of goes back and forth, just like little steps. Now we have a bunch of different kinds of lines. Now that we're done with this, we have the whole back side to fill up. We have all of our different lines right here. We have straight, thick, zigzag, bumpy, loop-de-loop or loopy lines, dash lines, dotted lines, some fancy lines, and a step line. Now that we're all done with that on the back side, we can write our name, and we can practice some of our fancy letters like Josie did here. She used a heart line, dash line, bumpy, curved, and loop-de-loops. You can even add color too. These are different kinds of lines, and line is one of our elements of art.